Coming up on Cronkite News, as the Supreme Court issues its decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, we take you to Washington, D.C. and the state capitol for reaction.
A dream come true for a local basketball star, from Mesa to the NBA, Dalen Terry's draft night celebration.
And later on Break It Down, how Arizona will be affected now that Roe v. Wade is overturned. We'll discuss the controversy and who will be impacted most.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Lauren Green.
And I'm Kyle Betts. Thank you for joining us. Today's decision by the United States Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, which has determined access to abortions for the past 50 years. The news was not a surprise after a leaked memo showed an early draft last month. Hundreds gathered at the Supreme Court in Washington. Daisy Gonzalez-Perez was there and brings us the reaction.
The Supreme Court today ruled that there is no constitutional right to an abortion, overruling its 1973 Roe v. Wade decision and saying the decision on an abortion restriction must be returned.
That ruling was greeted with cheers by the hundred of anti-abortion protesters outside the court, who have been waiting decades for this day to come.
That's been on America for almost 50 years has now been lifted, and the real work begins. We know over 20 states are going to go back to their laws pre-Roe, which is a protection of life.
For anti-abortion right activists, this ruling came as a shock.
Illegitimate! Supreme Court! Illegitimate! Supreme Court! Illegitimate!
Like many in the crowd, Chandler resident Caitlin, who did not want to give her last name, said it was an emotional moment.
Being at home, I didn't realize that. I knew that it was important to me. I didn't know how important it was. But being here, it truly is a right that they're taking away from us, and I think we need to change. I think the courts need to change.
Many of the abortion right protesters here expected the court might narrow Roe, but the 6-3 decision by Justice Samuel Alito said there has never been a constitutional right to an abortion. Roe was, quote, egregiously wrong from the start and must be overruled, he wrote, and abortion decisions should be returned to the states. There's one thing both sides appear to agree on today. The battle over abortion will now move to state legislatures. And Tempe native Katie Bennon-Cohen said it does not mean the end to abortion in the U.S. for the millions who could be affected by the court's ruling.
The reality is that there are plenty of women in the United States that will continue to have access to abortions, but it is in the most unbelievably discriminatory way that does violence to the very idea of equality in the United States.
At the Supreme Court, Daisy Gonzalez-Perez, Cronkite News.
This morning, when the Dobbs decision was handed down from the Supreme Court, most were wondering what the president would say and when he would say it. Well, they didn't have to wait long. President Biden made his remarks just a few hours after the Dobbs decision was officially released. Biden said that this decision is taking the country back to the 1800s and leaves no protections for vulnerable women like victims of incest. He challenged Congress to protect abortion as a federal law, as there are real and immediate consequences sweeping across the country. Biden also said the initial decision in Roe v. Wade was the correct one because it will affect more than just abortion rights.
This landmark case protected a woman's right to choose, her right to make intensely personal decisions with her doctor, free from the interference of politics. It reaffirmed basic principles of equality, that women have the power to control their own destiny, and it reinforced a fundamental right of privacy, a right of each of us to choose how to live our lives.
President Biden also put out a call to action to voters saying personal freedoms are on the ballot.
Reaction to the decision here in Arizona was also swift and passionate. Jessica Herrera joins us from the state capitol, where preparations are underway for a planned rally tonight.
The future of women's health care has long been debated even before this landmark decision. Despite the difference of opinion, one thing is clear: this decision has created confusion, and we have already seen an impact here in the state.
As a result of our state's legal landscape, we are pausing abortion services at Planned Parenthood clinics in Arizona.
Planned Parenthood Arizona expressed their stance on this morning's Supreme Court's decision on Roe v. Wade in a press conference. President and CEO Brittany Fontino announced the clinic would still remain open, but that some services would stop temporarily.
We are working diligently with our team of attorneys to understand Arizona's tangled web of conflicting laws so we can ensure that our patients know what their rights are and how to access legal abortion.
Abortion opponents in Arizona say the ruling was a victory. The Arizona State Senate put out a statement saying effective immediately, Arizona should enforce the pre-Roe law, which bans most abortions unless the procedure is necessary to save the life of a mother.
Roe made Arizona's prohibition on Arizona unenforceable. That law should now be enforceable, prohibiting abortion in this state, except to save the life of the mother. This will not only save innocent human lives, but will protect women from the undeniable pain and emotional harms of abortion.
We have more on the events planned later on in the evening. From the state capitol, Jessica Herrera, Cronkite News.
As you just heard, there is confusion about what this means for Arizona. Attorney General Mark Brnovich released a statement on what to expect in regards to abortion. The state attorney general made clear that Arizona's abortion law banning the procedure after 15 weeks of pregnancy, except in medical emergencies, will go in effect in 90 days. This law is similar to the Mississippi law at the center of the Supreme Court decision handed down today. Brnovich also celebrated the Supreme Court's decision to return abortion rights back to the states. As expected, the reaction from Arizona legislators has been mixed. Senators Mark Kelly and Kyrsten Sinema reacted on Twitter. Kelly tweeting in part, quote, "Today's decision is a giant step backwards for this country." He also said it was wrong that his granddaughter will have less rights than her grandmother. Sinema also took to Twitter saying a woman's health care decision is between her, her family, and her doctor. And she's always supported a woman's right to access health care. Governor Doug Ducey praised the Supreme Court for overturning and Arizona for being the most pro-life state on his Twitter page. Arizona House Representative Paul Gosar also took to Twitter saying the Dobbs decision made today, amazing and historic. And in a separate tweet said, "We're just getting started. Welcome to the new right, America first."
Protests and marches are already planned this evening at the Arizona Capitol and around the state. You can see a complete list of events around Arizona and around the country at wewon'tgoback.com. They include in-person and virtual events from Sedona to Prescott. Here in the Valley, Planned Parenthood supporters will be marching on the Arizona Capitol today at 6 p.m.
Stay tuned for continuing coverage of the Roe v. Wade decision. The PBS NewsHour will have in-depth coverage coming up at 6 p.m. as well as a half-hour special followed by Washington Week at 7:30. That's all here on Arizona PBS.
Let's check in with Samir Mala in the Cronkite Weather Center and see if there's any more rain in our future.
Thanks, guys. As we take a look at the weekend forecast, it's going to be a wet one. Pop-up thunderstorms across Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon as well, as we're going to see some pop-up storms develop around the northern areas of the Tucson area. So be prepared to carry an umbrella and clearing up on Sunday evening. But what does that mean? We're going to see some high dew points of 65 in Yuma, a total 180 compared to this time 3 weeks ago when it was hot and dry. And with that humidity comes high temperatures of 109. I'm going to feel a lot warmer than that in Yuma. 109 in Phoenix, but across the Rainier section, it's going to be 91 in Holbrook, 94 in Globe, and 87 in Tombstone. For the rest of the week, we're going to see a high of 109 on tomorrow, but then cooling off into the low hundreds the rest of the week. This is Samir Mala from the Cronkite Weather Center. Back over to you guys.
The Arizona men's basketball team made history last night with 3 players selected in the first 33 overall picks in the NBA draft, a first in program history. Dalen Terry was among one of those selected, and I was on hand for his big moment. The scene was set for the number 18th pick in the NBA draft, Dalen Terry, who gathered at Lolo's Chicken and Waffles ahead of his big night. The former Arizona basketball player's family, friends, and former coaches joined together for Terry's special occasion. And when Adam Silver said the magic words,
"The Chicago Bulls select Dalen,"
the support was at its fullest and spirits were high for the Phoenix native and newest addition to the Chicago Bulls.
Kid from Phoenix, Arizona ain't supposed to be here, and I'm just glad I beat the odds, you feel me? Like, it's just crazy. Like, I'm just blessed to be here. I thank God, thank everybody here.
With all who attended, now former coach Tommy Lloyd shared this moment at Terry's draft party, an event that's not new for the U of A coach.
I'm a coach, so my mind always goes to, what do we got to do next to do this again for other people, other players, and other families.
With the 18th pick in the draft, the Chicago Bulls, Dalen Terry's family is celebrating. And from what it sounds like, I don't think that celebration is going to stop anytime soon.
The way that I celebrated him last week and last month and last year, 3 years ago, we're going to continue to celebrate him because he deserves it.
Just a local kid from the Valley to a top 20 draft pick. This is a night he'll never forget. The other two Arizona products, Benedict Mothrin, went 6 overall to the Pacers, and Christian Coloco went 33rd to the Raptors. Former Perry High School star Jalen Williams also went in the first round, picked 12th by the Thunder.
Coming up after the break, we'll take you to Los Angeles, where we'll talk to some players from the National Women's Soccer League and the WNBA and dive into what Title IX means to them.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge? You can do anything. History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery.
I can hardly wait.
We tell ourselves stories as a nation.
These stories need to be highlighted, they need to be explored.
We're the dreamers.
How serious is America's commitment to looking at its history? How can we learn from the past?
Douglas said, "You're going to look me in the eye and see my humanity."
It's illuminating. I'm seeing the expansiveness of my history.
It's pretty great.
There's so much richness to Black life and Black culture.
I think the story of Muslims in America is the story of America.
Tonight, they are free.
I cannot imagine how excited he must have been.
It's a wonderful feeling. This is why we do this.
It makes me even more committed to struggling for a better world.
I'm Madison Thomas with your Cronkite Sports Report from LA. We've been talking about the 50th anniversary of Title IX this week. Cronkite News reporter Liam Barrett asked some female professional athletes about the effects Title IX has had on the development of women's leagues.
A record average of over 18,000 fans come to support one of the National Women's Soccer League's newest teams, Angel City FC. The success of leagues like the NWSL and WNBA are examples of how far women have come in sports. Angel City FC captain Allie Riley says it's important to continue the fight for equality.
I think it's one of the most important things we can do, not just in sports, but in society. And we have a chance in sports because of Title IX. If anyone is still saying that women can't do hard things, can't do great things, don't deserve to be treated equally, I think we're proving them wrong.
The National Federation of High School Associations says in 1972, fewer than 300,000 high school athletes were women. By 2019, that number grew to 3.4 million. 50 years ago, Title IX was a step in the right direction for women's sports. Yet today, there's still many inequalities facing women. LA Sparks forward Nneka Onwumike is tired of answering questions about equality. She wants it to be a reality.
It's important so people stop asking us that question.
Right.
That's just how I feel. No disrespect. It's just like we're celebrating it, but we're still fighting for it, you know? For me, I want to live in a world where talking about equity and equality is no longer a thing. We're just living it, and it's expectation.
The NCAA demographic database shows a growth from under 30,000 to almost 220,000 female college athletes during the 50 years of Title IX. In Los Angeles, Liam Barrett, Cronkite News.
There is still a long way toward equality. For example, neither of the women's teams travel regularly on chartered flights, something taken for granted for the men. The U.S. Open of Soccer is taking place at arenas like the Bank all over the country. Cronkite News reporter Victoria Samuels has more on a team's historic run.
The Sacramento Republic stunned a second MLS club in their run through California. They beat the legendary LA Galaxy of the MLS this week 2-1. And it's exactly what the U.S. Open Cup is made for. 103 clubs are competing. This is the only chance for a team outside the MLS to make it to the Club World Cup level.
I think it's very exciting because it gives smaller clubs or teams from lower leagues an opportunity to battle with the teams that play in the higher leagues.
Sacramento is the last surviving team in California. They beat the San Jose Quakes of the MLS in the round of 16 and the Phoenix Rising FC of the USL in the round of 32. After their win against LA Galaxy, Sacramento Republic FC moves on to the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup. The winner of the U.S. Open Cup gets one of the United States' 4 allotted slots for the CONCACAF Champions League, and that could turn into a quarterfinal position for the FIFA Club World Cup. In Carson, Victoria Samuels, Cronkite News.
The championship game will be played in September. That's it for your Cronkite Sports Report from Los Angeles. Back to you.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.